His doctor had run every test, EKG, blood work, chest x-ray. Everything came back normal, but 46-year-old Alex was still waking up at 3 a.m. with his heart pounding, still feeling waves of anxiety, constantly on edge, and convinced that something was seriously physically wrong with him. Anxiety is not just a thought problem, it's not just stress. And it is absolutely not just in your head. Anxiety is a full-body biological event. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what causes anxiety, why it hijacks your body, and what that means for how you actually get better. I'm Dr. Er, quadruple board-certified psychiatrist, and I've treated thousands of people struggling with anxiety. Think of your nervous system like a thermostat. A healthy thermostat reads the room and self-regulates. Heat on when it's cold, off when it's warm. Simple feedback loop. But when the sensor breaks, the heat keeps running even when the room is warm. The system can't read its own environment. It can't calibrate. It just keeps pushing. That's chronic anxiety, a nervous system that's lost its ability to read safe. 3 specific things break that sensor, and most people with chronic anxiety have all 3 working against them at the same time. Number 1, cortisol dysregulation. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and it has its own built-in rhythm. Think of it as the temperature setting on that thermostat. In a healthy system, it rises in the morning to get you going, then tapers through the day so you can wind down and sleep. But under sustained stress from work pressure, relationship strain, financial worry, years of poor sleep, that rhythm breaks down. Cortisol ends up too high at night with a dysregulated pattern in the daytime, which is why so many people feel wired but exhausted. And it's one of the reasons why anxiety spikes between 2 and 4 a.m. Your brain reads that elevated cortisol as an emergency, so it wakes you up. One of the most common things I hear from patients who've tried medication, therapy, everything, is this. I know it's anxiety, but it feels so real. It feels like something is physically wrong with me. And they're right, something is physically happening. And understanding what that is, that's the foundation of actually getting better. You see, deep inside your brain sits a small structure called the amygdala. Think of it as a highly trained guard dog. Loyal, fast, and wired for one thing, detecting danger. The moment it senses a threat, real or imagined, it barks. And that signal floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol in under a second. Your heart surges, breathing goes shallow, digestion slows, muscles tighten. That's the fight or flight response. And for a short-term threat, it's brilliant. But here's the problem. That guard dog cannot tell the difference between a lion and a looming deadline. It barks the same way at a work email at 11 p.m. as it would at a physical threat to your life. And when the stressors never stop, when they just keep coming day after day, year after year, the alarm system stops turning off. Alex had been carrying what I call a full bucket. Senior leadership role, teenagers, aging parents, a struggling marriage, years of poor sleep he had just accepted as normal. No single thing had broken him. It was the accumulation, the weight of it all, compounded over years, until his nervous system simply couldn't recover anymore. It got stuck in threat mode. Number 2, inflammation. Research now shows that chronic low-grade inflammation from poor sleep, processed food, alcohol, a sedentary lifestyle directly activates the brain's threat circuitry. It makes the guard dog more reactive. It lowers the threshold for anxiety. It keeps the thermostat sensor broken. And poor sleep drives both cortisol dysregulation and inflammation at the same time, which is why it's the most underestimated driver of chronic anxiety I see. If you're not sleeping well, your nervous system cannot reset. I put together a free sleep guide for exactly this. Link is in the description below. Number 3, blood sugar instability. This is one most psychiatrists never mention. When blood sugar drops after a skip meal, a sugar crash, your body releases adrenaline as an emergency response. That adrenaline is chemically identical to what's released during a panic attack. Racing heart, shakiness, that sense of dread. Many people I treat think anxiety is just psychological. It's also biochemical. Now, here's where it gets more complicated and more important, especially if you're over 40. As we get older, the body becomes harder to buffer these three drivers on its own. Anxiety is not a character flaw. It's what happens when too many biological systems get pushed past their recovery threshold, and it accelerates with time. I see this constantly in midlife adults, though the mechanism is the same at any age. For women navigating perimenopause or menopause, estrogen, which calms the nervous system, begins to drop. That shift alone can spike anxiety in ways that feel completely disconnected from your life, out of nowhere, relentless. For men, declining testosterone with rising cortisol creates a similar effect. Low-grade unease, irritability, a nervous system that used to shake things off and suddenly can't. None of this is permanent, but it requires more than willpower. It requires identifying the actual drivers and addressing them directly. So what actually helps? Most people who come to me for treatment have already tried something: medication, therapy, breathing exercises. And often those things helped, but only partially, because they were treating symptoms without touching the underlying biology. Here are a few things I recommend. Number one, regulate your cortisol rhythm. 10 minutes of natural light within 30 minutes of waking resets your cortisol curve and anchors your circadian rhythm. It sounds too simple. The research behind it is not. Number two, stabilize your blood sugar. Protein at all meals, including breakfast, about 30 grams per meal. No skip meals. These aren't lifestyle tips. They're direct interventions against adrenaline-driven anxiety spikes. Number three, lower the inflammatory load. 20 minutes of walking daily, less alcohol, better sleep. Sleep affects cortisol, inflammation, and nervous system recovery. Number four, calm the nervous system directly. You can use box breathing technique used by Navy SEALs. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Repeat for 5 to 10 cycles. Another evidence-based breathing technique is the psychological sigh. 2 inhales followed by a long exhale. Extended exhales activate your parasympathetic system, your rest and digest mode, and measurably lower amygdala reactivity. That's not a wellness trend, that's neuroscience. Number 5, if medication is part of your plan, make sure it's part of a complete plan. Medication can be genuinely helpful. Sometimes it's essential. When your nervous system is so dysregulated that you can't sleep, can't function, or can't think straight, the right medication can stabilize things enough to do the deeper work. I prescribe medication when it's right. SSRIs like sertraline or escitalopram. SNRIs like venlafaxine or duloxetine. Buspirone for chronic generalized anxiety. Low-dose beta blockers for physical symptoms like racing heart. In some cases, short-term benzodiazepines like lorazepam or clonazepam, used carefully and with a clear plan. But here's what I see over and over with new patients who are referred to me. People who are medicated but not actually better, stable but still stuck. That's because medication quiets the signal. It doesn't fix what's triggering the alarm. Medication without addressing the root drivers is like turning down the smoke alarm without putting out the fire. Now back to Alex. Alex eventually got to a place he didn't think was possible. Not because he white-knuckled his way through it. Micronutrient testing, pharmaceutical-grade supplements, the right medications, and lifestyle interventions made all the difference. When he changed the inputs, the outputs changed. If you want to go deeper, watch this next video. It explains anxiety, its types, and how to treat it.